Hi, my name is Emily Spears, and the title of my presentation is A Self-Fulfilling Prophecy, an evaluation of UK coverage of the 2016 US Republican presidential primary. So to start out, my research question was, what is the visibility and tone toward the three remaining US 2016 Republican presidential candidates in the UK media? So after March 16th, when Marco Rubio dropped out of the Republican primary, I wanted to evaluate the visibility and tone of the three remaining candidates to see if there was a huge difference in the way they were presented in the UK media and to see what type of effect that could potentially have on people's perceptions. In Political Science 385, we've been charged with tweeting about international news. In the international news coverage, I see many tweets about Donald Trump, but I didn't see many about John Kasich or Ted Cruz. Also, many of the tweets about Donald Trump seem to be negative. So that sparked my interest in the subject and my research question. And my hypothesis was that the tone toward Donald Trump would be overwhelmingly negative and that John Kasich and Ted Cruz would not appear as much in the UK media. However, as you will soon see, I was shocked by the amount of difference between the visibility of Donald Trump, John Kasich, and Ted Cruz. For my research, I used the database Factiva to search through headlines and lead paragraphs of three publications in the UK. I selected The Sun, The Guardian, and The Daily Telegraph. The Sun is a tabloid-esque type of newspaper. The Guardian leans left, and The Daily Telegraph leans right. Thus, though these three are only three out of many publications in the UK, all three have large readerships and represent a variety of different types of publications along the ideological spectrum. As I began my research, I expected Donald Trump to have a large amount of visibility, but I was shocked by what I actually found. In 3 months, January, February, and March, his name appeared 1,065 times. Now, I thought that maybe this was just because of the high visibility of the US presidential primary. But when I compared the numbers to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in their respective 2008 presidential primary, the numbers didn't compare. As you can see, Barack Obama is in blue and Hillary Clinton is in green. Donald Trump still almost doubled what they had received in coverage, showing that it's not just that it's the US presidential primary, but that it has something to do with Donald Trump as a person and politician. Before we take a look at the Republican presidential primary, I wanted to take a quick look at the visibility of Democratic candidates within the current Democratic presidential primary. As you can see, Hillary Clinton is in blue and Bernie Sanders is in red. Though there is some difference, they seem to be pretty consistent in their type of visibility, and the distance is not huge. If you look, Bernie Sanders even appeared more times in March than Hillary Clinton, even though Hillary Clinton is the front runner. 143 articles mentioned Bernie Sanders without Hillary Clinton, and 221 articles mentioned Hillary Clinton without Bernie Sanders. Thus, a lot of these articles are them appearing simultaneously in the same headline or lead paragraph. As you can see, the visibility of the Republican candidates looks vastly different from the visibility of the Democratic candidates. This is a weekly distribution between mid-March, when Marco Rubio dropped out, and mid-April. If you look, Donald Trump is in blue, John Kasich is in green, and Ted Cruz is in red. Donald Trump towers over both the red and the green. In fact, even on week 2, John Kasich's not mentioned at all. In week 3 and 4, he's only mentioned once. Ted Cruz never gets over 30 mentions. Ted Cruz and Donald Trump appear simultaneously 64 times in a lead paragraph or a headline. John Kasich, Ted Cruz, and Donald Trump together only appear 4 times in a lead paragraph or headline. Thus, a lot of the blue mentions that you see of Donald Trump in this 5-week period are him alone, making the visibility difference that much greater. If Donald Trump is mentioned so much, now we're going to look at the content of what is being talked about Donald Trump. So, if we look at this graph, 48% is domestic issues, such as abortion, the economy, immigration, etc. 17.4 is about elections in general, and 11.7 is specifically about national and presidential elections. So this is a little overview of the content that these publications are speaking of when they talk about Donald Trump. Now, looking at his content goes beyond looking at just the issues covered. We also want to look at specific headlines that give an example of the tone these publications have toward Donald Trump. So, The Guardian, the left-leaning publication, has some headlines such as "Who Said It, Donald Trump or North Korea?" and "Entering the Orbit of a Total Narcissist, Who's Who in Donald Trump's Inner Circle." In The Sun, they're a little more comical, including "Donald Trump becoming president of the U.S. has been ranked along jihadi terrorism as one of the world's biggest threat," and "Donald Trump continues his unlikely march to the White House despite alienating women, Hispanics, Muslims, war veterans, and anyone with an IQ higher than their shoe size." The Daily Telegraph also has negative connotations in their headlines toward Donald Trump. Though the Daily Telegraph is right-leaning, it shows that a variety of ideologies, including conservative publications, have a negative tone toward Donald Trump. Some of these examples include "Trump unusually absent in abortion remark fallout," and "Trump claims he alone can solve world threat of jihad terrorism." So though these headlines are not as overtly insulting as The Sun or The Guardian, they do have a negative connotation. In conclusion, after gathering qualitative evidence from the publication's headlines and quantitative evidence from Factiva, I can conclude that my hypothesis was at least partially correct. The tone toward Donald Trump in these publications is overwhelmingly negative, and he also is receiving a much greater amount of visibility than his opponents Ted Cruz or John Kasich. What I was unprepared for, however, was the vast amount of visibility difference between the three candidates, especially in the context of past U.S. presidential primaries and the current Democratic presidential primary. Thus, we have to ask ourselves if the media is creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. By providing Donald Trump with such visibility, even if the tone is negative, are they really just assuring that the public will be more likely to vote for him because of his heightened visibility and awareness? Thus, we need to ask the roles media in Donald Trump's popularity.